Hey everyone, my name is Tanner Tagin, and I'm going to be covering the MBA problem from Chapter 4. Chapter 4 taught us how to discount cash flow valuations. So say we sold a piece of land today, but didn't receive the payment until a year into the future. What this chapter taught us how to do is take that future payment and discount it with either interest rates or the discount rate to see what that value would be worth today. But for this case, I'll be referring to the annuities portion of the chapter in particular, and some definitions on the annuity portion, just to refresh you guys' minds going forward, is an annuity is just a stream of payments for a fixed period of time. So think deposits into your savings account or mortgage payments or house or car payments, that type of thing. The annuity factor is the factor that's used to compute the present value of that stream of payments. And I'll show you guys exactly what this is in a later slide. And the most important term to know is the growing annuity. And this is a finite number of growing cash flows. So think about a salary where you get an annual pay increase. And the case synopsis for the MBA problem is that Ben had graduated college 6 years ago, and he's currently working with East Coast Yacht Company. Um, he's considering pursuing an MBA, which would be between two different schools, which one is a more prestigious school where he'll end up with a higher salary, and the second one is a less prestigious, but he'll still end up with a high salary. And some things to consider for this is you won't be able to work during the MBA program, so you won't receive any salary from 1 to 2 years. And this is just an outline of the fees to expect and the salaries to expect in each alternative. So if he were to stay at the East Coast Yacht Club, he'll get a $57,000 salary, which he's already getting with a 3% growth rate and the corresponding tax rate. Now he expects to work for the next 40 years. Going into MBA programs, he'll be chopping those years off, but he'll receive at Wilton $105,000 starting salary with $18,000 signing bonus and can expect a 4% growth rate year over year. And these are the corresponding costs with that MBA program. This one will take 2 years to complete, so he won't have pay for 2 years. And then the Mount Perry College, which is a less prestigious school, he'll still end up with a pretty good salary of $88,000, $15,000 sign-on bonus, 3.5% growth rate, and this program only takes 1 year to complete, and these are the corresponding costs with that. Now, 6.1 is the discount rate going forward for all cash flows. Now, here are the case questions that I'll be covering. It's kind of hefty, so I'm gonna try to go through it at a good pace for you guys where you can understand me, but still get through it all in a decent amount of time. And this basically just covers um, which option's the best and theoretical scenarios with each option. So question one asks, how does Ben's age affect his decision to get an MBA? So Ben's pretty young. He's 28. Right now, he can take the risk of leaving his current position and pursuing that MBA because he doesn't have an obligation such as retirement. So he's got a long life ahead of him for overall career earnings, and he can take that risk to pursue something else. The second question asks what non-quantifiable factors affect his decision. Now, I'm sure you guys can relate to this because we're all in the MBA program here, and I'm sure that each one of you has your own quantifiable factors that made you decide to go ahead and go through with the MBA program. But for Ben, he's 28, so he might actually have a family at this point. He might have a wife and kids to care for. So to take that 1 or 2 years off of receiving salary might just not be an option for him. He might not be fulfilled in his current position. So he could just not be happy where he's at. And the MBA might be able to help solve that issue with him by opening the door for other options. Of course, he'll probably be overlooked for promotions when compared against someone with an MBA. And then the last thing, which I'm sure all of you can relate to, is environmental issues. As we saw with COVID-19, a lot of US workers got laid off over the course of the year. So Ben might be seeing that his future fate is inevitable, that he may get laid off in the coming career. And this is just brought this back so we can reference it going forward with the questions. This question asks, assuming all salaries are paid at year end, what's the best option for Ben? I mean, if we just take a look at what to expect on each option, I'm sure we could guess which option is the best, but I'll calculate that for us so we know for sure which option's the best. And this is the formula that I'll be using with each alternative. And this is that annuity factor that I mentioned earlier, where we take this factor and multiply it by the first cash payment. And this is what you'd probably put down on paper and how you'd write the equation out if you were to calculate it by hand or in an Excel spreadsheet. And I just sort of plugged in each of the values here. And so this is just the growth rate for alternative one, staying at the yacht club. This is the discount rate, 40 years on the job, discount rate minus the growth rate. And we just kind of went down, plugged and chugged, and here we ended up with the annuity factor. We multiplied the annuity factor by the first cash payment. And it's good to point out here that I've already adjusted for the income tax. And so that 57,000 has turned into 42,000, and that's what we can kind of expect going forward. And his cash flow, or his present value of those cash flows, is about 950,000. And so this is the alternative number two, and there's a couple different parts here. The first, of course, is to value the salary at the end of year three. And the same scenario where we just plugged and chugged, adjusted for taxes, and then moved downwards until we got the annuity factor and multiplied it by the first cash payment. And so this is the salary he can expect at year three. It's 1.8 million. And we have to go and adjust that from year three back to present value so we know for sure what that overall salary will look like for Ben. And so by doing that, we take that present value and then add it with the bonus and divide it by this factor here. And we end up with a $1.64 million present value of salary plus bonus. Now, the other parts of this equation are to account for the fees and opportunity costs. So the fees are just what the MBA program costs. And these are just the costs, and then that cost that we can expect in year two. And that's the present value of the fees today. And then I calculated this just so we can have a idea of what he would lose if he were to forego those 2 years of salary with the yacht club. And this is just the overall of each of those present values, and the net cash flow with just the present value of the salary and bonus minus those fees. And I included this just so we can have an idea of the variance here with that lost income that he would see if you were to pursue this MBA program. Now, the third option is with the less prestigious college, and it's the same case where we plugged all these numbers in. That program is only 1 year long, so that you'll have 39 years to work with this one. Work down annuity factor times that first cash payment, and this is what he can expect at year two. We take this year two salary of 1.4 million and adjust it with a bonus and bring it back to today's value, which ends up at 1.4 million. And I just added up the cost of what the MBA program would cost today and essentially subtracted that from the present value of that salary. And I also, in this one, had calculated up that indirect cost of what he would lose in that lost salary. I think I actually added a number there that should not be there. And so this is this cash flow. Yeah, so this just has one extra number, but this is the cash flow for the MBA cost minus his valued salary. And that's this opportunity cost over here. And so here we look at all three of options. We can see that with the first option, it's only 940,000 over the course of his career. And this is just, I factored in what he would save if he didn't do the MBA program, and it comes to about 1 million, 1.8 million, or 1.08 million. And alternative two, you can see is 1.5 million valuation. Alternative three is 1.3 million valuation. So of the three, the prestigious school at Wilton University is the ideal option for Ben. So the fourth question asks, in evaluating both programs, Ben thinks the appropriate analysis is to calculate the future value of each option. How would you evaluate this statement? So Ben is partially correct in his thoughts here. What would actually happen is you'd end up at the same exact conclusion. You would see that the highest present value that we've gotten today, which is this option two, would be the highest future value present or future value that we see if we went through this calculation. So we'll still end up at the same conclusion at the end of the day. And that being said, Ben is partially correct with his assumption. Now, question 5 asks, what initial salary would Ben need to receive to be indifferent about attending the Wilton and or staying into his current position? And in this, we just assume that same tax rate for Wilton. And so for what we do on this one is just, algebra, we work it backwards. We put that 1.5 million valuation from Wilton in the end and kind of work down until we have this annuity factor and divide it by that expected present value. And as you can see, Ben would need to receive at least $67,000 to be indifferent between the two options. And I'd also included what that opportunity cost salary would look like. So if you wanted to include that opportunity cost of what he would lose by attending the MBA program, we could expect Ben to be indifferent between these two ranges of 63,000 and 67,000. So question 6 asks, suppose Ben must borrow money for his MBA at a rate of 5.4%. How's this affect his decision? So this really just depends on how eager Ben is on paying back that loan. Of course, if that loan were to be drug out over a long series of periods, then those options might start to blend together. But if he were really eager in paying it off and paid it off within the first couple of years, Wilton would still be the best option for him. But over a long period of time, we would probably see that these two options kind of coincide with each other. And another point to consider is when he's taking that loan out, he's assuming that he's going to get a position with a company after his MBA program. Now, this does increase his risk because on the off chance that he does not secure a position, then he'll have to end up paying back more over the course of the loan. So in this case, I would recommend Ben stay with using his savings and pursue his MBA at Wilton. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, please feel free to either comment on this video or send me an email. I'll include the email in the description. But other than that, thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.